All right, we've reached our last session for the day, where we're asking the important question of what does the future hold for Eeps? I'm really excited about this session. And with us, we have 3 faculty members and 3 graduate students. From the edge here, we have Timur Cinay, Roos Verwijs, Abigail Bodner, Susana Hoyos, Gaia Stucky de Quay, and Andrew Babbin, so who will be moderating our discussion. So Andrew, take it away.
Someone needs to turn on the microphone. But thank you all for remaining. We know that we're the last stop between you and drinks, and so hold your horses, we'll get there. I'm Andrew Babbin. I'm an associate professor in the department and the old guy on this panel. I've been here 7 whole years. I'm an oceanographer, but I want to start by allowing everyone here to introduce themselves a little bit more about what they do here in Eeps and how long they've been here. So, Gaia.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Gaia. I'm an assistant professor here. I only started just over a year ago, so January last year. What I mainly focus on, so I would call myself a planetary geomorphologist, so looking at landscapes not only on Earth, but on Mars and other planetary bodies as well. Yeah, that's what I do.
Hello, I'm Susana Hoyos. I'm a 5th-year PhD student. Hopefully I'll be graduating this spring. And I'm an experimental petrologist. I melt rocks to understand how planets form.
Hi, everyone. I'm Abigail Bodner. I started 2 months ago as an assistant professor. So probably less time here than everyone in the room. But I'm a physical oceanographer. I work at kind of the intersection of modeling and theory and machine learning, which you heard about in the last talk, to improve climate models.
Hi, I'm Roos Verwijs. I just started my 3rd year here at Eeps. I work on earthquakes and specifically how rough topography and subduction zones kind of changes the earthquake behavior.
Hi, I'm Timur. I'm a 3rd year graduate student in programming in climate, atmospheres, and oceans. I study greenhouse gas emissions, specifically nitrous oxide emissions from the ocean, using direct measurements of nitrous oxide as well as atmospheric models.
Yeah, so we really do represent the diversity of Earth, planets, climate, and life within Eeps. And so I kind of want to start and just get a sense of what brought you here. Abigail, you probably remember most vividly. So maybe you could start.
Sure. I'll see if I can remember. But I feel like MIT and Eeps has had this incredible tradition of fluid dynamics and oceanography and climate modeling. And there's been so much innovation, which you heard a lot about also in the last talk, which really motivated me to come and be part of this. It's a really exciting time to work in climate science. I also have a position in the Department of Electric Engineering and Computer Science. So my work kind of spans both those fields, and Eeps is really a great place to be my home also and collaborate with all the great faculty that are around that work on different problems that are similar to mine, but from different angles.
Gaia, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I've actually got a story about this that you'll find very funny. So this was back when I was still interviewing for Eeps, which was a while ago, maybe 2-3 years ago. And it was different back then because it was COVID. So instead of doing the job talk and coming to visit, it was all online, and I was in Europe. So it was, midnight interviews, very different and all spaced out. And it was just interview and meeting after meeting with the job talk as well, grueling process. And at one point, my meetings end for Eeps, and I come back down, and my husband asks me, "Oh, when is your meeting even starting? Like, have you even started your meetings?" And I said, "Oh, I just finished mine." And he says, "Well, I thought you were just watching Netflix or something in your room." And I say, "Well, why did you think that?" And he was like, "Well, you've just been laughing for like hours, or like, especially the last episode, I thought must have been really funny." And I check, and it was actually the meeting with you that I had in the last 30 minutes. And so basically not to say that, the moral of the story that I came because of you, but because I came because, all the meetings that I had with all the faculty and the students, they were just really fun. They were challenging, they were stimulating, but they were just, exciting to go to. I genuinely enjoyed every one of those 25-minute slots I had with all these faculty members. And, MIT is an amazing place and they do great science. But at the end of the day, I knew that, I would actually enjoy the time that I would spend here. And that was a big factor for me.
And did you enjoy your first visit to the Green Building?
I mean, once I found it and discovered where the entrance was amidst the construction, yes, I did.
Susana, why did you come to Eeps?
Well, I think that after that, the answer is hard to follow, but mostly because the faculty at Eeps is amazing, and the level of science that we can do here, it's incomparable. And also, when I came for my open house, I met all the other people that could be in my cohort, and I realized that they were as eager to discover the world as I was, and that they also wanted to learn more about the Earth and space. And I thought that having that cohort of peers was also going to make my time, in my PhD, way better. So, the people.
Roos?
Yes, I think a lot of it has already been said why I came here. What I would like to add to it is that my supervisor, she's a very young faculty, and I really like that. I wanted to be with someone who was still starting a group, and I thought it would give me a lot of opportunities to do very exciting research. And it's one of the main reasons why I came here. The other universities, it was more established professors, which can also be really fun. And then to add on to that, I think coming not from the US, in Europe, a PhD feels like a very lonely island. And when I talked to a lot of other students here, I had the idea that there was much more interaction, a lot of seminars, and I really wanted to be a part of that.
Timur, who is a grad student with me, there is only one right answer as to why you...
Of course, the projects and research in the group. Definitely. One of the reasons I chose to come here because of the project and research that I'll be interested in doing. One part is that I've been applying to a lot of oceanography departments and programs, and Eeps was a little bit different because you could see, seismologists in the lower floors, geologists in the middle floors, and the atmospheric and ocean scientists in the upper floors, and you could interact with a lot of people within the same roof, and I was really more into that idea of interdisciplinary research within the same roof, and going to seminars, student seminars, or faculty seminars, and just experiencing that interdisciplinarity was the main pulling force or motivation for me to choose here. Yeah.
Awesome. So, building on this idea of interdisciplinary work, I wonder if anyone has anything they'd like to share about the connections that they've made either within Eeps or across MIT's campus that have been enabled by different aspects of our Eeps education and research programs.
I actually do. So when I came to Eeps, I was planning to study subduction zones and mostly Earth-related topics. And then as I started talking with more people at Eeps and learning more about planets, I moved to melt the moon and then melt planetesimals. And now for my postdoc, and I hope for my career, I'll do experimental petrology of exoplanets. And that could have never happened if I wasn't able to talk with all the different people at Eeps. It was thanks to another grad student who told me about polluted white dwarfs that I learned that seeing the composition of an exoplanet was even possible. And then from there, I started developing new ideas. So, yeah.
So was that a second general's project by chance?
No. I still work on my second general project, which is also melting things. So I will say that in a way it's easy to find common topics across disciplines. I feel like, yeah, we can always work together. And it wasn't specifically my second generals, but it was thanks to a class that I started talking about other people's research, and I learned about astrophysics.
Well, I was going to add to that because you mentioned the second generals, but in addition to like spontaneous path switching and collaboration, there's also all this infrastructure at Eeps for this collaboration and this mixing to occur as well, which is things like the second generals, but even things I didn't expect, like co-teaching with another teacher. I teach with Camilla, who is Rose's supervisor, who's, earthquake science. And when you go through the list of faculty, you kind of make a guess of who you're going to collaborate and speak the most to and overlap the most with. But then the truth is that's, never really how things pan out. And so the people and the faculty that I've come to talk the most to and with and think of collaborations with aren't the ones that I originally predicted I would. And that there's just no predicting where it's going to go. And I think that's really exciting that, I have no idea what project I could be doing that I didn't really guess I would be doing right now. And yeah, it's all thanks to these programs, things like second generals that are really, really awesome for the students and for the faculty.
I could add a little bit as a newcomer. What I've been so excited about Eeps and MIT is I find that people are just so interested and motivated to discuss work, to think of new ideas. And in particular, we could see that in the Climate Grand Challenge, but also you see a lot of initiatives related to computing campus-wide and also related to education campus-wide. And it really feels like people are putting a lot extra in terms of their workplace and their interests and their motivations. And I find that just really invigorating as a workplace to be part of.
We can move on to other questions. The nice thing about being the panel of experts is we get to say whatever the hell we want. And so I will ask all of you, what would you like to see the future of Eeps look like? What would you like to see here in the next 40 years?
I mean, yeah, I can
Remember,
start.
Rob has to provide everything we say.
Oh God, get out my list. I think some of the things are already starting to happen, especially like we've talked about, this new building, just increased collaboration, the de-stratification of the building and being able to see different faculty that you otherwise wouldn't see because they're up in the 18th floor like you are. And so I only go up there for coffee and happen to see you once a semester. But, things will be a bit more different now. So what I would like to see is just more of that spontaneous collaboration and, grabbing a coffee and seeing faculty that you otherwise wouldn't, because a lot of the greatest things in science aren't really planned or put into Outlook in your calendar. It's just bumping into someone and catching up on some cool new result, and then, things happen. And I think that's really exciting.
Timur?
Yeah, I was going to say, just adding up on that, yes, we are also interacting with people in our department in this new building space, but also you saw or heard about this in the previous talk, where we interact with other departments, see urban planning and architecture. So I think the new space and the future of Eeps would, hold more of that interdepartmental collaboration, and considering all the new climate objectives of the MIT President's office, I think it's going to be a great place to nurture those interactions as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I mean, when I think about the future of Eeps, it very adds on to this. Like when I meet new grad students on campus and they realize that I'm from Eeps, they're like, whoa, okay, so I have this idea in mind and I really want to work together with someone from Eeps. Like, how can I make this collaboration happen? Or I really want to follow this course at Eeps. How do I know what kind of courses there are? And I think the future for Eeps will be a lot of students from other departments that are way bigger, like Mackie or CSIL, coming to Eeps for courses. And I think there will be a lot more collaboration between these different departments. So not necessarily something that I think will be good for, like, I don't really have a recommendation for Eeps in the future, but more when I talk to people around me, what I see will happen is a lot more growth. And I'm very excited about that. I think it's very cool.
I'm going to just add one more example to what Rose mentioned. So I'm TAing a class, field oceanography, with a lot of students from McKee. And when we talk about oceans and a lot of these climate challenges or measurements in the ocean, they've been very excited about actually combining their mechanical engineering techniques, that which we don't have the expertise in this department, to generate some ideas and brainstorm a lot of ideas. So it's like classes at Eeps are really great opportunities or places to kind of get that brainstorming in, and I think in the future that's going to be even better. So.
Fabulous. At this point, I do want to mention that we are happy to take anyone else's questions, and I have plenty, don't worry, so don't feel on the spot. But if they come up, we can go back and forth between us and all of you. I'm wondering while they think, if anyone's been surprised by anything when they came.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Were you surprised by anything when you first arrived? Did you have some conception of what the place would be, and then bang?
I mean, there are so many seminars here. When I came here, I didn't realize that I could spend every day in a talk about research that I don't know anything about. And I think that's very nice, and I've never seen that before at the other universities I've been. And that was very positively surprising, yeah.
Free
I
lunch.
just want to follow up on, I was going to say, I know Timur has a list of where free food is at any hour of the day.
If you're wondering, see me after this and we can get...
I was going to say the food thing, so.
I will say the undergrads, like I knew that MIT had amazing undergrads, and I think it's also related to where I see the future of Eeps going, and it's that by being here, it's not only interacting with the professors and other PhD students, but also learning from the undergrads. Some of them have incredible views of the world and can give you a lot of insight on what's going on. And I had the possibility of taking classes with some undergrads, and it actually taught me a lot of things that I currently use in my PhD. And also I think that by having the new building and undergrads actually seeing that geology is a career that they can do at MIT, because sadly most of them were like, oh, we have a geology department? And I was like, yeah. Maybe we can call some of them into the building and get even better researchers.
Yeah, and I'm just going to hop on that as well, because from my perspective, things like the Europe program, again, undergrads, is just a resource that you absolutely don't consider when you first start your research group. You hire your grad students, your postdocs, but then there's this whole workforce of extremely enthusiastic, eager, and very talented young researchers who, are very excited to work with you as well. And that's been a really big part of my research as well, just giving them that opportunity, and then I get great work done as well. It's great.
Yeah, I sent one of those great EUROPs to Caltech through that Pasadena, Cambridge elevator thing that John was mentioning. I'll ask Abigail a question, put you on the spot 2 full months in. So there's this new major joint within course 1 and 12, so Civil Environmental Engineering and Eeps, on climate system science and engineering. And I'm wondering, how you feel that might transform climate education at MIT.
I don't know a lot about course 1, but I do know that I'm hoping to be the bridge between course 6 and course 12. So that, from what I've been told, is half the undergrads at MIT choose course 6 as a major. And really I'm hoping that we can come up with curriculum that can satisfy people's interest in computing and especially AI tools, and bring earth sciences and climate into that discussion, especially because MIT has now made climate change one of the main goals, the main grand challenges. We really want to make sure that Eeps is central to that discussion, that people have the tools to access all the data that's out there. They know what the data means, and they know what the implications are on their local community. So I can imagine also intersections with course 1 related to what is the practicality of that. And I guess I'm really motivated to get people also very excited about the fundamentals of what's happening to our Earth.
Are there, Paul, please.
A follow-up question, which is that AI was just mentioned. I was wondering if you guys think, for your research area or education goals, do you think AI is going to revolutionize what you're doing in the next 20 years, say?
Should I pick that up? I think it already is revolutionizing it, and I think we just have to make sure that we're responsible about how it's being revolutionized and how we can still conserve a lot of our generations of physical understanding of the science itself, and make sure that that's preserved with whatever form of AI it takes. So it's going to be artificial intelligence, but it has to be founded on something, and we have to be part of that conversation and make sure that we pace it in the direction that it should really go. That's at least the way I see it. I don't think it can completely replace scientists thinking and understanding the basics of the fundamental physics.
It also can't replace scientists like myself sailing on a boat and chucking crap into the water.
You never know. Robots.
Hopefully. Please, there's...
You mentioned the undergrads in our department. Over the years, over the decades, I was much involved with undergrads. I did a lot of undergraduate teaching. And my impression is that a lot of the undergrads that we've gotten as majors are students who, by their sophomore year, were disillusioned with some other course. And they came to us and found a home, which was always, I thought, very nice to have as many as we can get that way.
I'll take this one to start. I totally agree. We have majors that came to MIT wanting to chip off a rock and look at it, right? We also have majors who come to us in their junior years who started out in physics or computer science or math and decide they want to really apply those tools.
Or they double major. That's another major factor.
I was getting there.
I can make another observation out of history here, and that is that at a certain point back, it must have been maybe the 1990s, when climate science came into its own, a lot of people thought it was soft science at that time, including, I think, one of our department chairmen, not anybody who you heard today. But civil engineering, course one, civil engineering became civil and environmental. And they sort of stole the ball from us. And we played catch up for a long time. We could have been much more advanced in climate science in this department than we ended up being. We're strong on it now, but it took a struggle for that to happen.
I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, Eeps has certainly been known for climate for a long time. Very strong pre the merger as well. But yes, there's always some amount of bureaucracy that can sometimes get in the way. And I feel like that's been lowering dramatically since my time here anyway. That more or less, any of us are permitted the ability to do whatever the hell we want. If we are excited about it, if we are curious about it, and that's enabled by a lot of people in this room, in fact. And so that's been brilliant.
Yeah, I just want to add to that I think what's really interesting about these times right now is that the younger generation is very, very excited and interested and cares deeply about climate science, which I think that's been, something that's even, I feel like people that are younger than me that are coming into their undergraduate degree now are looking to be part of this type of department and this type of courses that we're offering. So hopefully we're going towards an exponential surge in people that are taking courses in Eeps.
I'm just curious what your thoughts are on what the funding profile would look like in 40 years.
I think you're going to be providing all of it.
I can say that I've been lucky in this department to have a few fellowship throughout the first few years that kind of enabled me to pursue some of the interests in addition to all the research that the grants support. So I think it helps the students and our creativity to have a lot of fellowships that give us some freedom in interest to pursue. So I hope at least that the direction would be in that way.
Yeah, I was going to say that, yeah, when I came to MIT, I also thought I was going to only do something because, well, when I applied, I thought that like funding was tied to one of them. But thanks to several fellowships, and one of them was the Whiteman Fellowship that I think you provide to Eeps. Thank you. Allow me to pursue other interests that are not just related to that one first idea that I came with, and it's, I think, what allowed me to go where I want to go now, and it's space.
Yes, question.
I've had my hand up. I wanted to follow up on John Southard's question comment, because I had been wanting to ask a similar question, which is, we saw the data earlier today that the department continues to be a department with a very small number of undergraduate students compared to the graduate students. And yet the undergraduates really are this is, when people think about MIT and going to MIT, they think as undergrads. And there have been, rises and falls. One of the things I think that's a problem with the green building always, besides people saying, I can't find the green building because they were looking for a green building, seriously, it happened many times, is that it's very isolating for the undergrads. They're not walking by classes that are getting out of here like they do in the main complex. And when people find out I went to MIT and they say, so, first thing people always say is, what department are you in? And I say 5 and 12. 5 they know, 12 almost always they don't know. And I'm asking partially, I don't think any of you were undergrads here, were you? No. Is that I think really there is a potential, and I think that's what, John, you were referring to in terms of, seeing the ball, to have a lot more undergrads involved. And the undergrads are a different kind of person. They are also incredibly highly selected now. I interview kids. They admit 4% of the kids who apply, and the kids who apply are amazing. And yet I think course 12 has never gotten a very good share of them. And that's, I think, part of what you were saying. And I have been sitting here thinking that a lot, too. So I was curious as to what people might say. Thank you.
Please,
I
Roos.
cannot really provide some insight on the recruiting of undergrads from high schools, etc. But what I've seen in the past few weeks with the opening of the new building is that a lot of the students from my class, they stay afterwards in the atrium and they do their homework there immediately. And it's really nice to see that all the students are gathering there because of the windows as well. They see it, they come in more, and I think the new building will definitely help with this visibility on campus. And as I mentioned before, I have a lot of grad students, also undergrad, asking me, oh, Eeps, how can I do a course there? Or how can I find a collaborator there? And the new building will help with that. And I think also MIT's mission to help with these climate challenges will also help with that. But on the other part, like high schoolers, I don't know.
So the thing I would say specifically is that majors is only one metric of how much education we do in this department. As Gaia mentioned, EAPS is another substantial way that people get immersed in research. I've had a number of them across my time here. Maybe a third at most have been in Eeps, and the rest have been across MIT. We also get plenty of students from other majors in our courses. And one of the things that a lot of the faculty are passionate about is developing new material, new curricula that will attract, but that would be attractive to those in course 6. People like Abigail are thinking about how we bridge that. Or within the School of Engineering, as many people come to MIT to be engineers rather than necessarily foundational scientists. And so there's ways to bridge that, and we're working in that realm, where majors is, of course, one component, but not the sole one.
But it's a really vital thing because people as undergraduates really identify as the major of their department. They really do. And the graduate school said it's your group. To revise it, but for undergraduates, it's important.
Yeah. So, David, is there one last? Oh, Tom, please.
I think I'll push back on this subject of undergrads as well, because as far as I understand, in the 1970s, We were one of the largest undergraduate departments because of the energy crisis. Never? We're bigger than we were. Well, yeah, we're at least a couple of hundred in the undergrads. No?
This is about the future of Eeps, not the past.
So I want to thank all of our panelists for this last session. And now I just need to do two things. One is, there's been a few through lines for today. One has been the centrality of curiosity in driving the work we do here in Eeps. A second one for me has been seeing these intersections between and the ways that the work we're doing here, though curiosity-driven, also bears upon essential societal questions and essential human questions about our place in the universe. The last thing that has been remarked upon over and over today has been people, about hiring the right person or keeping the right person here, finding the best of the best. And there's a few people without whom this whole day and yesterday would not have happened. So I really want to acknowledge Megan Coakley and Jen Fentress for their incredible work. Megan is right here, so you can thank her on their way out. Is Jen here? She might be working on things. She's downstairs getting things ready. And also all of HQ staff, I see Dave, Madeline, Michael, Natalie, Anne, they've all been working to make this happen. And so please express your appreciation to them. The other thing is to give you a very specific instruction. So we're going to move to this reception downstairs where you'll have a chance to connect and enjoy some music and eventually some dancing and some great food and celebrate the Eeps community. But we're going to start with something very specific, which is a special toast. And so I invite you to move downstairs relatively efficiently. Find yourself a glass of champagne or a different beverage of your choice. Don't drink it all. And show up at the media wall or on those steps there in just a few minutes where we will gather for a special toast. All right? All right, see you down there.